That day, increasingly desperate to act, Singh approached a cluster of neighboring tents in advanced base camp occupied by a Japanese expedition. The weather had still not relented, but word was circulating that 2 Japanese climbers, Hiroshi Hanada and Eisuke Shigekawa, and 3 Sherpas were in position at high camp and planning to depart for a summit attempt that night. Singh's own climbers were of no use. Those back in their tents were exhausted from their aborted efforts on the ridge, and it would take at least 2 days for anyone from advanced base camp to reach the stranded men. Singh had no option but to implore the Japanese expedition leader, Koji Yada, to assist him. If his men were still alive, they most certainly wouldn't be after a second night, and the Japanese summit team, relatively fresh, strong, and well supplied, might be their last chance. The conversation took place in 3 languages, English, Japanese, and Hindi, but Singh came away believing that the Japanese would do their best to provide whatever assistance they could. The ensuing 24 hours were fraught with confusion. Communication on Everest was problematic even in the best conditions, and the storm had reduced radio contact to the most basic and sporadic dialogue. What few reports filtered down the mountain convinced Singh that a rescue was underway, yet he also learned that the Japanese had pushed on to the summit. How could this be? By 5:30 p.m. on May 12th, as the last of the Japanese summit group pulled back into high camp, it became clear that none of the Indians were with them. There had been no rescue. When the Japanese descended to advanced base camp the following afternoon, the news was grim. They had, in fact, encountered Singh's men, and while their lead Sherpa had helped free one of them, probably Smanla, snared in a tangle of fixed lines on the second step, little else could be done, they insisted. "They were Indian climbers. We didn't know them," Hanada told Richard Cowper, a journalist for the Financial Times in London, who was accompanying a British expedition on Everest that year. "No, we didn't give them any water. We didn't talk to them. They had severe high-altitude sickness. They looked as though they were dangerous. We climb by ourselves, by our own efforts on the big mountains," Shigekawa added. "We were too tired to help. Above 8,000 meters is not a place where people can afford morality."